Peter Kaluma. I know we were running the Law of the Sea program together.
Speaker, thank you very much. The many things you taught me at the University of Nairobi was public international law, more so the law of the sea. And so, Honorable Speaker, I understand the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea, which you taught us was ratified in 1982. Honorable members, the sea territories are delimited in a particular way. 20 nautical miles from the shoreline is the territorial sea. And that part of the sea called the territorial sea is treated as part of the state from which the sea moves. After that, Honorable Speaker, 24 nautical miles from the territorial sea is the contiguous zone. It is called the contiguous zone because it is a zone where if there were war, it is a place to which again a territorial state is entitled for purposes of its exclusive war engagements. Honorable Speaker, 200 nautical miles from the shoreline of a territorial state into the sea is the exclusive economic zone. And that exclusive economic zone, Honorable Speaker, will mean that for purposes of economic exploitation, and I'm emphasizing this, Honorable Speaker, because we came from the Blue Economy Madaraka Day celebration. And you get people largely talking about fish and fish stock. The exclusive economic zone is the entitlement of a territorial state bordering a sea for purposes of exclusive economic exploitation. So whether it is fish stock, whether it is marine life, whether it is minerals prospected and discovered under those waters, they exclusively belong to the state. I'm emphasizing that to make the point, Honorable Speaker, that when you go deep into 200 nautical miles, I can tell you if you put that water area together, it means nearly a third of the territorial boundary of Kenya is within the sea for purposes of exclusive economic zone. Honorable Speaker, under the exclusive economic zone is the continental shelf. The continental shelf entitlement of a territorial state also goes up to 200 nautical miles, but with the agreement of the world bodies, it can be extended up to 350 nautical miles. And let me confirm to the House that for purposes of the continental shelf, we've gotten the permission of the relevant committee and international body, and now we stretch up to 350 nautical miles. That means anything falling within the continental shelf from across the Indian Ocean can be exploited again exclusively by Kenya following the agreement of the international community up to that level. Honorable Speaker, beyond the exclusive economic zone and the continental shelf is the high seas. And Honorable Speaker, you know, that is the area that we say is res communis. It falls within the right of the entire global community. And that is the area, Honorable Speaker, this treaty we are seeking to ratify is concerned about. There have been cases, Honorable Speaker, where highly industrialized nations, you go to China, you go to Japan, you go to those countries which manufacture or own big ships, they are trawling in these res communis, the IC areas, or those areas not falling within the exclusive jurisdiction of the territorial state. And what has been happening, Honorable Speaker, is that when you go trawling, you are searching for a specific, for instance, fish species, but you catch everything the nets will go with. And essentially, what you don't need, you just throw them away. So out of those practices, we are killing a lot of marine life, and then there is need, that area being a res communis, to be protected by this convention whose ratification, our agreement as Parliament, is needed for. I wanted to end, because of time, Honorable Speaker, by emphasizing the point that if you look at states like Kenya, Honorable Speaker, even going up to 50 nautical miles is still a problem because of the sizes of the ships we have and the level of technologies. We need to up our ability as a nation by investing in proper ships at our navies and at other levels so that we can protect marine life within those areas. But the areas beyond our territorial water boundaries are areas which we must protect under agreements such as this, which can, restrict these states with the power from finishing the marine life, from ensuring that we have waters which are sustainably used for people today, available for our children tomorrow, and available for our children's children in the future. With those few remarks, Honorable Speaker, I thank you very much, and I request the approval of my colleagues for this convention, whose being here confirms, Honorable Speaker, that indeed nothing can have the force of law in this country unless it is a provision coming from this house. So may we signify our approval so that this convention is ratified, it becomes part of our law, and the protection of those areas falling under the remit of res communis is guaranteed under this agreement. I thank you, Honorable Speaker.
Milie, Odhiambo.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to thank you for giving me this opportunity. And Mr. Speaker, I want to thank Honorable Ali Hassan Joho, the CS for Blue Economy, for bringing this agreement before this House. Mr. Speaker, the BBJN agreement is an agreement under the United Nations Convention on the Law of the Sea on the conservation and sustainable use of marine biological diversity of areas beyond national jurisdiction. Mr. Speaker, I am a member of the Parliamentarians for Global Action, or PGA, where I have served as executive in the Executive Council, and now currently a member of the Council, and also the current chair of the Kenyan chapter. And Mr. Speaker, we have worked very, very strongly around this convention and on the issues of conservation of the oceans and the high seas in general. And therefore, the bringing of this convention to be ratified by the House is very welcome. Mr. Speaker, the agreement addresses four main issues. It addresses the marine genetic resources, including the fair and equitable sharing of benefits in the areas that Honorable Kaluma calls the res communis. Mr. Speaker, because of the limited resources, there's always been a perception that the resources in the waters are limitless or infinite. But time has shown that they actually can be misused and can be exhausted, and therefore it's very important that not only that they should be conserved, but that there is equitable sharing, because there has been an imbalance sharing with developed countries having more advantage than the developing countries. Yet we know that if indeed there is a place that still has a lot of resources, it's the high oceans, the high seas. Mr. Speaker, it also talks about measures such as area-based management tools, including marine protected areas, and especially again for ensuring that we conserve and expand what we already have there. Mr. Speaker, it talks about environmental impact assessments and capacity building and the transfer of marine technology that the mover mentioned when he was talking about. It also talks about cross-cutting issues such as establishing a funding mechanism and setting up institutional arrangement, including the conference of parties and various subsidiary bodies, a clearinghouse, and a secretariat. Mr. Speaker, it indeed is a very good convention, and I do support. Mr. Speaker, however, I'm concerned about one thing, that if you look at this convention and a lot of the things that are coming here, the focus is very strongly on the high seas and the oceans. And sometimes we forget our internal waters. And one, I think it's when the mover was commenting, or the person who was seconding, that commented that it is important that we domesticate, once we ratify, that we domesticate by providing laws that will be speaking to the same issues as what is contained here. Mr. Speaker, I would want to encourage the committee that when they'll be looking at those laws, nothing stops them from expanding into our internal waters and specifically into Lake Victoria. Mr. Speaker, yesterday as a Committee on Defense, we were looking, we had an engagement with an agency that works with our international boundaries. And they were talking about boundary demarcations. But if you actually look at a lot of the conflicts that happen in our internal, whether internal waters or the high seas, the conflicts with other nations is generally about resources. And two of our islands were mentioned, Remba and Ringiti. And Remba and Ringiti were mentioned because they are actually very critical islands in terms of demarcating our boundaries. But, Mr. Speaker, those are some of the islands that always have a lot of conflicts with the Tanzania and Uganda on fisheries. And, Mr. Speaker, it is not a conflict because of political issues. It's a conflict on fishing. It's a conflict on resources. And therefore, if you are able to replicate in our internal waters a convention that is similar to this one, or even bring, there's nothing stopping us, even amending the Fisheries Act, to bring something of this sort. The only reason why the Act would be limiting, it's because the Act will only talk to Kenya. But if we provide a treaty, then it will actually deal with our neighbors as well. So I would want to encourage the committee to look at this. And Mr. Speaker, even as I complete, Honorable Kaluma and the speaker before you were really boasting how they have done international law and dealt with ISIS. I can also boast that me and Honorable Calori here were students of environmental law at our master's level, and we studied environmental law at a master's level. But do I say, Mr. Speaker, and I'm surprised that Honorable Calori is not keen on speaking. But we are students of environmental law.
What's your point of order, Honorable Kaluma? Yeah. What's out of order?
Honorable Speaker, I didn't just study public international law. I'm the first lawyer in this country to specialize in law of the sea. In fact, I assisted our Navy in delimiting our sea boundaries when Abu Rafruf was still the Navy commandant. So Honorable Milie should confine herself to environmental issues within the sea areas.
What's your point
not
of order?
talking, not knowing I'm a specialist in that area.
What's your point of order?
Honorable Speaker, the Honorable Member for Homa Bay is actually misleading the House.
Yes.
The premier mind on law of the sea was the late Kicho Kola, Deputy Solicitor General, who attended all the negotiations until the law of the sea was signed in 1982.
Yes.
It is Kicho Kola. And the one speaking is the author of the National Environmental Management and Coordination Act. So stop misleading the House.
The Honorable Kaluma.
Honorable information. Honorable Speaker, Okola participated in coming up with the United Nations Convention on Law of the Sea. But at the very heart of that convention was Dr. Androniko Oduogo Adede from Kwabuaen, the Homa Bay. And that is something for which he is credited. And Dr. Androniko Oduogo Adede was my master's lecturer when I was studying law of the sea. I think that is a point Honorable Calori was forgetting.
Mr. Speaker, I have the floor. Mr. Speaker, I have the floor. And I want to educate Honorable Kaluma and tell him that there's a reason that I'm a senior lawyer. The Honorable Dr. Androniko Adede that is so proudly talking about was my boss in Letwal International. So don't even try.
Yes.
We've been there, done that, and got a t-shirt. So don't even try.
Majority Leader. Majority Leader. Give the mic to the Majority Leader.
Thank you, Honorable Speaker. Honorable Speaker, I just want to inform the House that the Honorable Kaluma is from Homa Bay County. The Honorable Milie Odhiambo is from Homa Bay County. The Honorable Calori Omondi is from Homa Bay County. And you can hear the debate is about the law of the sea, environmental law, and the battle of wits of great men and women, great scholars from the county of Homa Bay. And Honorable Speaker, you know, we were in Homa Bay over the weekend, and the people of Homa Bay are great people. Therefore, Honorable Speaker, let me also assert that the Honorable Milie Mabona Odhiambo, being a law student and having studied environmental law, part of what this treaty seeks to look at are issues touching on environment in the sea. Therefore, the law of the sea, the law of the environment merge and converge. Whether they converge in Homa Bay or in the National Assembly, it's converging and we all move together, happy.
Honorable KJ.
Mr. Speaker, I was of a different opinion, Mr. Speaker. On an afternoon when we have very serious business to transact, I wanted you to find this debate totally out of order, because the display here is a display of something that is well known to this country. The tyranny of brains, the tyranny of Akili from Nyanza. And it has been displayed fully. We do not need to belabor the point. We know we have some fine brains from that area in the House. And we also know that there are and folk bearers who are also...
Order. Honorable KJ. Order. The chair assumes that some of those brilliant state of the current intellectual dissipation can also, basically permeate to the members, the overall House here, so that you, whatever you want to call it, I remember they used to say through osmosis or whatever it is, but order, Honorable KJ. Are you going to get your time to conclude? So this is it's well accepted. We are learning. We are learning a lot from these fine minds from Homa Bay. So proceed, Honorable Milie Odhiambo. I also did public international law. I did law of the sea, but nowhere near where the specialization.
Then we can allow you to stay in our circles.
Proceed.
Mr. Speaker, before I conclude, I just wanted to say that I'm also currently doing my PhD in Daystar University.
Excellent.
And I am dealing with the issue of development, leadership, and on the issue of leadership and governance. And one of the things that I'm debating about, studying about, is whether there's something unique about Homa Bay. Mr. Speaker, the late General Ogola he came from Sia, but grew up in Homa Bay. CS Education, the current CS of Education, same primary school with me, Homa Bay Primary. PS Omola, Homa Bay. Tomboya, Homa Bay. I can go on and on, but do I say? We are serious. I can see the chairman budget now is trying to purport to have a girlfriend from Homa Bay, especially Homa Bay town. And I know Honorable Kaluma can now be proud as the member of parliament for Homa Bay, because we are serious. But that aside, Mr. Speaker, what I was actually saying is that it is true, just as even Honorable Chungwa said, because we are dealing with the high seas. But we sometimes forget the inland waters. Yes. The inland waters that has produced these great men and women like myself. And because we are told when you're growing up, you're told if you eat fish, you become completely brilliant. And I would want to encourage the committee, the relevant committee, to look, whether it is through the amendment of the Fisheries Act, which I don't think is very appropriate, but it's towards moving a more bilateral agreement between Uganda and Tanzania. And the agents we met yesterday has already agreed that they'll be willing to work with us, because theirs is limited to boundaries. But we want to look at the issue of shared resources. The same that we are having for the high seas, we need to have for inland waters, so that we don't have our fishermen taken to Uganda, forced to eat raw fish with all our intelligence, and also forced to pay fines because they are fighting over the resources in Lake Victoria. Otherwise, with those few remarks, I beg to support.
Yes, the honorable member for... Yeah.